Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today you'll travel back in time to 1893 to explore the twisted and unpredictable World's Fair Hotel. You'll be racing to collect evidence while battling through the absurdities of a chaotic, booby-trapped castle, all while dodging Holmes himself. You'll explore rooms and collect evidence while battling backstabbing overnight guests and evading Holmes in his thrilling house of horrors. The base game of Crimes and History H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle is a competitive game for 2 to 6 players. It takes 15 to 20 minutes per player to play, is for ages 14 and up, and published by Blueprint Gaming Concepts. Today we'll be doing a rule school where I'll teach you how to set up and play the game so that you don't have to read the rulebook yourself. In a separate video, I'll be teaching you how to play the expansion, Second Story, and the solo Automa mode, as well as the one versus many mode where one player plays as Holmes. Now I placed timestamps below me in the description of this video, just in case you want to jump to a specific section of the rules. Without further ado, let's get started. Crimes and History H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle is a competitive game for 2 to 6 players where each of you will be a character trying to collect all of the evidence of the 5 different types. Over the course of the game, you'll be exploring new rooms in the castle. You'll be choosing which evidence from that gondola to add to that room. You'll be filling up the safe with evidence, hoping to move in and collect that evidence later. Each player will select their action by taking a tile, but that player also gets a bonus action for that tile. All others play each action following that player in clockwise order, but don't receive the selection bonus. So you'll be exploring new rooms, moving through new rooms, collecting evidence, sometimes moving through secret bookcase pathways. But you have to be careful because Holmes is going to be moving to different spots, and if he goes to what room you're in, you'll get a Holmes strikes cube and losing a certain amount of evidence more and more the more times Holmes moves to where you are. So let's see if you can be the first to gather all the evidence and get back to the pharmacy to win. To set up, first you're going to gather the room tiles. This is the back side of them. There's going to be a big stack of these that you'll place these in. You'll want to make sure you're only using the base game tiles like the pharmacy. You'll know that it's an expansion tile if it says Second Story on it like this, so you want to make sure you do not include any of the Second Story expansion tiles. The base game comes with 3 brick wall tiles. You're going to take one of these and put it off to the side for now. You may or may not use this in the game depending on the characters that the players select. We'll get to that in just a moment. You're then going to find these 4 tiles, the number 26 tile pharmacy, the 1 basement, 2 basement, and 3 basement, and place them just as you see here. All the rest of the base game room tiles are shuffled and put in a draw stack like this. Remember, the 2 brick wall tiles that we showed you earlier are in this stack shuffled. Next to those shuffled room tiles, you're also going to place the event deck, shuffle that deck up and place it right next to it face down. Next, you're going to set up the action tiles, and you'll do this close to where the room tiles are and the event cards so everyone can see them and reach them. Now you'll use these 6 tiles if you're playing with 5 or less players. Now a couple of notes here. Number 1, this Explore the Castle tile has another side that says Explore the Room, so when you're looking for those, you want this to be on the Explore the Castle side. Also, this one says just move into 1 room. You'll use, again, these 6 for 5 or less players. If you're playing with 6 players, you will then use this extra tile in addition to all these, move into 1 room for 6 or 7 players. Now the 7 players is for the expansion as well, but you'll use this if you're playing with 6 players with the base game, so you'll have a total of 7 tiles with 6 players. If you're 5 or less, you'll have just those 6 action tiles. Each player is going to select a character. They'll take the board of that character and the character ability token that matches the one that's on their board, and they'll place it face down like this that matches that, just like this. On the other side, it actually shows that character's face, if that helps you find it even faster, but you place it face down like this. Also, if you're playing with more than 2 players, you're going to take 1 pillar, and you're going to place it over this last column of evidence here, so it will look just like this. Now remember, we took out one of the 3 brick walls. If any player is using Jonah Nisbet, you will take this and you will shuffle this into the room tile deck face down. Otherwise, you can remove it for this game. Now, if anybody selects the Abraham Fitzsimmons character, make sure to place the 2 top hat tokens beside them as well. Next, each player is going to take their character standee or miniature. You can choose which one to play with. You'll place each character standee in the pharmacy, and you'll take the Holmes standee that looks like this, and you'll place it right on the logo of Holmes in basement 1. Next, you're going to find the evidence cubes of the 5 different colors: white, blue, yellow, green, and orange, and you're going to place them in this bag. You'll shuffle that bag well, and make sure to leave out the black Holmes Strikes cubes. Put those off to the side for now. Next, you'll randomly take 3 cubes of evidence. You'll place 1 in each of the 3 different basements right into the safe here. Next, you're going to find the Ferris wheel. Now, this Ferris wheel has 5 gondolas. In each of those, you're going to randomly take 5 evidence cubes from the bag and place them in there, so each of them have 5. And make sure this wheel here is just like this, so that both of these point to these angles right here where the unloading zone is. Next, you're going to find the evidence setup deck. The backs of the cards look like this. You're going to shuffle this deck up and deal 1 card to each player. Each player will look at that card and they'll look at their starting evidence. Now, the different evidence cube colors we talked about earlier actually are thematic evidence, like castle blueprints, false insurance claims, money from sold skeletons, advertisements for lodging, and victims' remains. So when you flip over the card, it'll tell you how many of those cubes you're going to get from the bag and place on here. So 2 blue ones here, 4 yellows, 3 greens, 2 whites, 2 orange. Everyone will have a different setup. Once you've completed this, you can put this card back out of the game with the rest of the cards because they're not needed for the rest of the game. You'll then take the Holmes movement cards that look like this. You'll shuffle them up and you'll place them below basement 2. Off to the side, you're going to place the 7 Whitechapel Suite tokens that has this on one side and this on the other, the 2 hidden Bookcase Pathways, the 3 Padlocks, and the 2 traps and landing zones. And finally, each player is going to get a player overview card. It looks like this on the back side, and it's a player aid on the other side. The player who last rode a Ferris wheel gets to go first, and they get the key. They're going to be the first player this round. You could also make first player any way you choose as well. The object of the game is to be the first player to collect all of the evidence cubes and fill their board up, and then get back to the pharmacy. The game is played over multiple rounds, and each round will go through 4 phases. The first phase of each round is the action tile selection. The first player of the round is the one that has the key, and they will be the first to select an action. So let's say we wanted to explore the castle. We would take that action tile, we'd place it right over Holmes here, just like this. So first we'll explore the castle. Now you could use this action if you're in a room that has a doorway that has nothing connected to it. This tile, the pharmacy, actually has 3 doorways, and of course we're in this room, so we will explore. So we take the top tile off the room pile, and we can place it. Now when you place a tile, a doorway has to match up with a doorway that's there. You could place this in any orientation as long as a door on the new tile matches up with a door on the tile that you're at. So let's just say we place it just like this. We are then going to take evidence cubes from the Ferris wheel and place it in the safe up to this number. There needs to be that number in there when we're done. In this case, it's just 1. So we look in this unloading zone and we look at any one of these and we'll take it and place it there. In this case, we don't need the yellow, we're already full. Green, we don't need as much, but we definitely need the blue, white, and orange the most, so let's take one of those. So let's say we took the orange from that unloading zone and we placed it right in there. Now, this player selected the Explore Castle. They also get the bonus selection. They can explore 1 additional room. Now, both of these, the main action and the selection bonus, are optional. So you'll take the top room tile off the deck again and you'll place it. Now again, same placement rules as before. This is a sealed room. That's not really a door, it's a sort of a door with a brick wall. This is the only door, so I could place it here, or I could have placed it up here with the door adjoining just like this. Now again, we'll have to fill this up to 4. Now we have to fill it to 4, which means we'll be taking all of the cubes that are in this specific gondola and leaving it empty. So you'd take all these 4 and you'd place it in that room. And place it in that room's safe. But that completely emptied this gondola. When this happens, you'll turn this wheel clockwise 1 spot. So now the empty gondola is here, and now we have a new set of evidence cubes. This will now get refilled with 5 evidence cubes randomly from the bag. Now you don't continue to take this next gondola and fill up that safe in that room. You only fill up to where the gondola empties, and that's it. That room will not get any more right now. Then it would go to the next player clockwise. Now that next player has the option of using this action as well. They do not get the selection bonus. So whoever takes the tile action and puts it on their board gets to do both of these. But any other player this round can still explore the castle. They just cannot get this selection bonus. Or they can choose a completely different tile that's still available. Now a note on exploring the castle. If you explored from the basement number 3 and you explored a new room, and you place the room as normal. If there are any other doors that are not the one that you're coming through, you must place a padlock token on them. This is only for the room that's connected to basement 3. This basically means that after basement 3, you won't be able to explore out through this tile, because most of the exploration happens through the pharmacy and through the other rooms connected to the pharmacy. So let's say it's the next player's turn. Again, they can select the main action of any tile that's been selected by any other player earlier this round only, or they can select a new one. So let's say they select a new tile, and now they get to move into one room, and their selection bonus would be advance the Ferris wheel by 1 position clockwise. Now you can never move into a room or through a room that Holmes occupies. So other than that, you can move following the doorways into an adjacent room for 1 move. So let's say this player moves from the pharmacy through this doorway into this sealed room. And if they wanted to advance the Ferris wheel by 1 position for that additional action, they would go ahead and do this. They would, do it just like that. Now, if this had had less than 5 evidence cubes, once this is spin, you would fill this up to 5. And you would do this obviously to set yourself up for gaining different types of evidence that you need, or possibly making the evidence that's here ones that the next players don't need. Now keep in mind that the flow of the round is the player with the key will take the first turn, everyone goes clockwise, either selecting one of these available tiles and activating the action and the selected bonus, or selecting a card that someone else took that round with just the main action without the selection bonus. So for now on, I'm just going to show you what the rest of these tiles do. The move up to 2 rooms does the same that the last tile did, which was move 1 room, but you move 2. And you additionally move 1 if you want to, so you can move up to 3 rooms with that tile. This allows you to collect evidence, and you can collect 1 additional piece of evidence. So let's say we were in this room, we could collect any one of these and collect a second one if we want to. Now in this case, the first one we'll select is of course blue because we need that. The other 2 were yellow and green. Yellow we're full on, green we're here. This allows you to draw an event card and then optionally draw an additional event card. So starting with the player that took the action of draw an event card, will take an event card off the top of the draw deck, and they will look at it secretly. If it says keep, they simply will put it face down, and they'll put it next to their board just above it. You'll see there's actually like 3 slots there that you could put it next to. Now you can never have more than 3 event cards above your board, so if you were to get a 4th, you either need to play one of the ones that's already there, or discard one to make room for the 4th. Or you could discard the 4th and keep the 3 that are above there. If the card said play now, well, you stop right now and you do it. So this would say you're on the right track, advance the Ferris wheel to any gondola position of your choice, and then you would discard this. Now once the player that selected this action tile did that, they drew an event card, they followed that procedure, they could additionally draw another event card, they follow that procedure. Then it goes to the next player clockwise. Every other player in clockwise order gets to do the same thing. Draw an event card, either resolve it now if it's play now, or keep it. Now event cards can be played anytime, including on other players' turns throughout the game with 2 exceptions. You can't play it in the middle of an action. Like if you had the move 2, you can't move 1, use the event card, or move the other one. You have to move and then complete your action and then play the event card. You also cannot play the event cards as the other players in clockwise order are taking their event cards. The event cards do what they say, but if you need further clarifications, you can look at page 9 of the rulebook. Now the last possible action you can take is move Holmes. Now notice it says selecting player only. This means if this player selected this, this is the only action that can't be selected by another player this round. Also, this player can evade Holmes from this turn's movement. Now to move Holmes, you take the top card off the Move Holmes deck, which is below basement number 2, and you flip it face up under basement number 1. Holmes is on the move. He's going to move to either number 6 dark room or number 11 bathroom. Now Holmes must move to one of those 2 rooms if they're in the castle. If there's just one of those rooms, he moves to that one. If there's both of those rooms, the player who took the action gets to decide which of those 2 rooms Holmes goes to. And if none of the specific rooms that are on that card are in the castle yet, then Holmes doesn't move. And so if Holmes moves to your room, you must take a strike cube. Those are the black strike cubes that we put aside at the beginning of the game. It's going to go in the top spot here. This is Holmes strikes. this says -1. So you're going to take 1 cube of any of your evidence and place it in the room that you're in. If you already had this in Holmes, you get to the same room as you again, it's another -1. Here you'd have to take 2 of your evidence off, 2, and then if this is all full and you get to the same room as you again, you'd have to lose 3 cubes. Now you get to decide which ones to lose. In this case, it's just 1. Now you'll put that evidence in the safe in the room that you're at, regardless of the number of evidence cubes there and regardless of what the safe number says. Now, if you're in the same room as Holmes, when a Holmes movement card comes up and this room is selected, you don't get a strike cube in that case. Now remember, no one can move to or through a room that Holmes is in, but in this case, this happens to be the way that you get in the same room as Holmes. And when you're in the same room as him like this, you cannot collect evidence or use action tile selection bonuses while Holmes occupies your room. However, if Holmes moves to the room that you're in and you selected that action tile, and remember that action tile said that you could, for this selection bonus, evade Holmes from this turn's movement. If Holmes moved in here, we were the one that selected, you could go to an adjacent connected room and you don't have to take any strike cubes. If a Holmes goes on, a Rampage card is drawn, Holmes moves to each room listed on the next 3 cards from left to right and top to bottom. Any players in any of those rooms will receive a Holmes strike cube each time Holmes moves into a room they occupy. For example, if this card was drawn, you'd start from the left to right, top to bottom. Let's say these 3 rooms are built, this one's not. Holmes would move to this room regardless if there's a player there or not. Then he would not move here because it's not built. He would then move here, and then here, and if he goes into any of those rooms, any players that are in those rooms take a strikes cube. But let's say a card comes up with 2 rooms and neither of these have been built, then Holmes doesn't move from that card. Now there's another card that might come up called Lights Out. When this happens, the castle goes dark, you reshuffle all these cards into the movement deck. However, when resolving a rampage, you'll resolve 1 card at a time of the 3. If one of those 3 is a Lights Out card, at the moment that that card is drawn, the rampage ends and you've lucked out. However, if during the rampage another rampage card comes up, well, the rampage starts over. It's just bad luck. One last caveat about the rampage. If this is the player that selected the Holmes move and the rampage came up and Holmes moved here, well, he played that card that allows him to evade Holmes. However, if during the rampage, since multiple cards come out, Holmes ends up coming to this player again, they don't get to evade him more than once. They would take a strike cube in this case. Once all players have taken an action, meaning the player to the right of the player with the key who started the round has finished, all players will then take their tiles off their board and put it back where they came from in the supply. In a 2-player game, each player is actually going to take 2 actions in a round. So let's say this player took an action, they did move into a room, it was the other player's turn, this player came back, you cannot select the same action again, so let's say they select Explore the Castle, the other player would select a second action, and once they've both selected 2 actions, they then would remove those cards. Then, regardless if the Move Holmes action tile was selected or not, Holmes will move again at the end of the round. So another move card will come up following all the rules that I already mentioned, including all the rules for rampages. The player with the key would choose where to move Holmes if any of the end round Holmes movement cards provide a choice, and then they would pass the key to the next player clockwise to start the next round. So you'd continue this flow over multiple rounds until one player fills up all 5 types of evidence to the maximum, which is 4 of each, and gets back to the pharmacy first. In that case, they would win. Unless you're playing a 2-player game where you need to get 5 of each, since in that case you don't use the pillar. Now once per game you can use your character's special ability. It's written on your board, and when you use it you flip this over to show that you've used it because it's only once per game. Now if you remember, Jonah started with a brick wall tile. He can place one anywhere in the castle. He doesn't have to be next to it. This blocks people from being able to go through it. Or his special ability allows him to remove a brick wall to an adjacent room, allowing him to then explore through there as normal. Even though the abilities are printed right on the board, if you need further clarifications, you can look at page 12 in the rulebook. Some event cards might allow you to put hidden bookcase pathways, and this is used to connect 2 rooms that don't have doors adjoining. Like this guest room doesn't have a door here, but when you play that event card, you could essentially have this here. Now you can move through these 2 rooms. Some event cards allow you to place trap doors. You'll take the trap door token, in this case it's a straw one, you put it on top of the safe, and then you place any cubes in that room on top of it. Anytime anyone takes evidence from here, they automatically, after they take this, fall through that trap door. That part's mandatory. And they would fall through to the landing zone token that is placed when that event comes up, and this is where they will actually land. And if the last evidence cube is taken from this room at the trapdoor, not only would they fall through, but then the actual trapdoor and the landing zone tokens get taken off the board and placed off to the side again. The black closet room allows you to draw an event card if you end your round in this room, even if you drew event cards earlier this round. The blind room requires you to use 2 collect evidence actions just to get 1 evidence cube. For example, if you took this action here, you would need to use both the collect evidence up top and the collect 1 additional piece of evidence, because you were the one that selected this tile, in order to just get 1 piece of evidence. Which means if others are using this during the round, they can only use the top, and they would not be able to take that because you need 2 collect evidence actions to get evidence from the blind room. Now with the Whitechapel Suite, if Holmes moves here and there's a player here, they'll need to choose one of these 2 places to hide. One is underneath the bed and one is in the bathroom. Those are tokens that we set up on the side of the board at the beginning of the game. So in this case, the player in this room would secretly select one of the sides of these tokens. That's one side and that's the other side, where someone else will randomly select a side for Holmes. And if at that point the tokens are on the same side, meaning the person selected the same side that Holmes did, then Holmes is caught and he takes a strike cube as normal. But if they're different sides, meaning he hid from Holmes, then they don't take a strike cube in that case. And either way, Holmes will stay in this room as normal. The Asphyxiation Chamber restricts your ability to play event cards labeled as keep while in this room. And because of that, if you're in this room and you draw a 4th event card labeled as keep, you must choose to discard them since you can't play them to make room for it in this room. The maze acts like 2 different rooms. If you're on this side, you can access the evidence cubes here, and if later on you build around and get to this side, you can access the evidence cubes there. Which means if you're exploring from here, in this side of the room, you can only explore out this door, where if you're on this side, you could explore out one of the other doors on that side. When placing a trap door, you can place the landing zone in either side of the maze. However, you cannot place it in the side if it is trapped, meaning there's no door here and there's no way out that way. And if Holmes is moved here, the player that moved Holmes gets to decide which side of the maze Holmes goes on. If you place a hidden bookcase pathway between these 2, they're still separate rooms. It still costs 1 movement to move from here to here. Well, I hope this helped you dive right into Crimes in History H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle. If you have further questions about the rules, I've placed a link below me in the description of this video. Now that's the best place to ask them since I'll be notified, but so will Blueprint Gaming Concepts.